It's Valentine's Day. There are pretty flowers everywhere and hearts everywhere and maybe also chocolate. I like flowers and I like chocolate and I like hearts. So on the tier list of special days I just now made up, it's an above average day. The thing about it though is I'm not very romance filled and I don't really have the desire to be someone's Valentine or spend a day with anyone in particular. Thinking about it now, I usually don't. Wait, when I was younger, I always wondered how people were getting into these things called relationships. And as I got older, so too did my environment become filled with people in relationships. I thought that maybe it was some kind of trend that I'm missing out on, so I just kinda waited for the moment that I would also somehow randomly get into a relationship. Since I'm way too shy to approach anyone, the best option for me was to wait for someone else to approach me. Then something happens in between that leads to us being in a relationship. This scenario kind of just never happened until 2022, I think. I eventually met someone who I thought it would be really cool to know them more as a person and become really good friends with them. I didn't do that and I was happy. So I told them that I liked them or something and we ended up in a relationship. My first thought after it clicked was something along the lines of, so that's how to do it. Wait, how does this even work? So I spent roughly the next 10 months trying to figure out everything, and I went too far into the figure out everything part to the point where the relationship ended. It was quite a bumpy ending, but even after that, I didn't really feel sad about it. Reflecting back on this, I felt kinda glad that it was over. I didn't really think much of it and just excused it with, oh, it was just because of this one thing that my reaction was not normal. And I said to myself that I shouldn't ever do that again. A year passes and I end up going through one again. But don't worry, this one was short and randomly ended. I honestly had no idea that it ended, but again, I kinda just carried on and I wasn't even slightly bothered by it. I probably sound so mean right now. I'm really sorry. After talking to a friend about it, he seemed kinda concerned that I wasn't bothered by a breakup. And this conversation lasted a while, but in the end, I thought to myself, oh wait, so I had to be sad about breakups? And for this second relationship, I couldn't find any excuse for my lack of negative emotions. In 2022, I remember I saw a video by Jada Animations called Being Not Straight. I was introduced to the term aromantic while also having clarity on what it means to be asexual. I'm gonna try to give some definitions, but I'm not exactly the smartest when it comes to wording things. Basically, to be aromantic is to experience little to no romantic desire or attraction to others. And asexual is pretty much the same thing but replace romantic with sexual. Hell yeah, and I even ignored Google AI. Before seeing this video, it was kind of guaranteed I was somewhere along the asexual spectrum, but I had my doubts. So, after watching this video, it kinda just flew over my head. I learned 2 terms and pushed everything else said in that video aside. Gosh, I sure hope I didn't make a mistake by doing that. 3 years later in 2025, a lot of things have changed. Firstly, I'm now very confident that I'm asexual. Nice. Secondly, I'm struggling to figure out if I'm aromantic now. Oh hey look, it's being not straight in my recommendations again. That's convenient. Guess the device you're using to watch this video knows you more than you know yourself. I decided to rewatch the video, and when rewatching this video again 3 years later, everything just made more sense. I was hesitant still, but I became more confident that I could also be aromantic. But I've had crushes on people before. This definition of crush that I had in my head turned out to be entirely wrong. Once I realized that I was completely wrong, I also realized that I've never had any actual crushes. At this point, I'm most likely aromantic, and since I knew I was asexual already, that would make me aro-ace. Short for aromantic asexual. Yeah, it took that long to get here, but I finally did it. I know that I can get really attached to people and start to get excited when being around them. If I ask myself whether or not I want to pursue a romantic relationship with the person, the answer is no. At first it confused me how I could really enjoy being around specific people but only just want to be good friends. Then I learned about platonic attraction and it resonated more with how I felt. So much that I could repeat it word for word and it would still be accurate to me. Not only that, but it also puts into words why I'm so scared to express my attachedness. I don't know if that's even a word, because I am genuinely worried about the other person mistaking it for romantic feelings. For example, there are a lot of moments I want to send hearts because they're fun to use and I think it would be better to have a thank you with the hearts instead of TYY. But I just can't because I'm too worried and I overthink everything. I sometimes really wish I could, but I don't know, maybe one day I'll be able to. If anyone ever said to me that they liked me in a romantic way, I honestly don't even know what I would do. I used to say that I felt the same way, but that was before learning that having a crush did not mean you wanted to be their bestest friend ever. Now that I know that I'm aro ace and I know what it means to have a crush, I don't want to say anymore that I feel the same way, because they would interpret it as me having the same feelings romantically when I really don't. In other words, I'd basically be lying to them, and I don't want to do that. But I also feel kinda scared rejecting them too. Like I'm just anxious they'll slowly drift away from my life because I rejected them. So I'm just in an awkward lose-lose situation, not knowing what to say. And instead of finding something to do to fix the issue, I straight up try to avoid the scenario as much as I possibly can. But hopefully releasing this video kinda relieves some of that stress. Well, that's pretty much everything. I managed to write a lot more than I thought I would, and I hope you learned something. Certainly learned something about me, I guess. But I hope you've gained some more insight into what it's like to be aro ace from one extra perspective of many. I know that I didn't say everything I wanted to, because either I couldn't find the words or I'm not comfortable sharing it. And I don't really intend on sharing more about this, at least publicly on this channel. Thanks for listening. Now go watch Being Not Straight. I don't know how to end this. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't know how I want to end that. I don't really know how I want to end this video. So I just kind of, yeah. This is the part where I just don't talk with the script. The reason why I used the script to talk before was to actually get my words out properly. Because if I don't talk with the script, then I'll sound like this, and I don't even know what I'm saying right now. So, yeah. I think, I'm not scared right now, but I know that when I upload this video, I will probably be very terrified. I'll be fine, trust. Bye-bye.